Coming up on Network Africa. Security forces in Zambia seized weapons during a protest in the country and arrest senior opposition figures in Lusaka. Kenyan authorities detained activists protesting against police brutality, deaths in custody, and extrajudicial killings. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa urges southern African countries to reduce reliance on external funding and build their own industrial capacity. Welcome to the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Thanks for joining us. Let's kick things off with a review of major news and happenings on the continent this weekend.
On Saturday, Moroccan authorities reinforced security around the northern city of Finadec after hundreds of migrants attempted to reach the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. The measures followed the huge influx of migrants from Morocco into Ceuta on July the 30th and 31st. Spain's Interior Ministry initially put the number entering on July the 30th at around 50,000, while Ceuta President Juan Jesus Vivas estimated about 60,000. Subsequent estimates of the total influx rose further. Thousands are still believed to remain in Ceuta, although estimates from the Spanish government and local authorities have differed. Still on Saturday, the Republic of Congo marked 66 years of independence with a major parade through Brazzaville, presided over by President Denis Nguesso.
Comme de tradition, le GPC défile. Le deuxième bataillon d'intervention, le groupement mobile et le premier bataillon.
The celebrations mark 66 years since the Republic of Congo gained independence from France on August 15, 1960. President Nguesso remains the country's leader after securing another term earlier this year. On Sunday, the Catholic Church of the Diocese of Butembo-Beni in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo suspended funeral masses held with the bodies of the deceased as health teams battle to contain an Ebola outbreak. The measure aims to reduce contact with people who may have died from the virus after some families were reported to be handling suspected Ebola victims before safe burial teams arrive.
Back to the present now. Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema has taken a strong early lead in the presidential election, with nearly 59% of votes counted so far. Electoral authorities say President Hichilema has secured more than 1.5 million votes from 135 of 226 constituencies, putting him ahead of his main challenger, Brian Mundubile. A candidate needs more than 50% to win outright and avoid a runoff. The count has been marred by tensions, including alleged attacks on polling staff and theft of ballot papers, which briefly forced a suspension. Observers have urged all sides to remain calm as counting continues. Final results are expected later today. Now, much earlier, I spoke with journalists with Media Network Action on Climate Change, Kennedy Piri, about President Hakainde Hichilema's quest for a second term. He told me about the president's achievements, which may have informed his desire for the bid.
Yes, President Hakainde Hichilema is seeking a second term. His first term basically was, trying to deal with the issues of, debt, trying to restructure. He did manage to restructure Zambia's, debt. He had a focus on, increasing resources into constituencies, what we call the Constituency Development Fund. On the other side of things, basically, he really is a leader who has seen who tried to stifle, the civic space, as it were, the opposition really had challenges in trying, to reach out, to mobilize, and that kind of economic front base. That was the approach he took, trying to stabilize the economy, which in a way he managed because he was able to reduce the inflation from a double digit to a single digit, and also he faced a challenge of, power load shedding, the drought that hit the country, a lot of small businesses were squeezed because of, lack of energy for them to operate. So in a nutshell, on the political front, basically, I think the opposition will share with you that they felt really he didn't give them the space to mobilize, to reach out to the voters or to the Zambians, as it were. Also, the civil society organizations felt in a way that really he had, a strong hand trying to stifle the civic space.
Staying with the elections in Zambia, authorities say 11 people, including senior opposition figures, have been arrested after security forces seized weapons in Lusaka. Government officials alleged the suspects were linked to plans for an armed insurrection, including 4 military training camps. Opposition presidential candidate Brian Mundubile was also found at the location. He described the raid as an attempt on his life, claiming colleagues were shot. Authorities deny that claim and say gunfire erupted during the operation. The arrests come as Zambia awaits final results from last week's presidential election, with Mundubile trailing incumbent Hakainde Hichilema. Security has been tightened in parts of Lusaka as political tensions remain high. And in Kenya, police have detained activists in Nairobi during a protest demanding the resignation of Inspector General Douglas Kanja. Demonstrators protest alleged police brutality, deaths in custody, and extrajudicial killings. The protests follow years of alleged excessive force and deaths in custody, including the 2025 death of teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang. Inspector Kanja has denied tolerating extrajudicial killings, saying officers responsible for misconduct will face action.
We must stand up and fight together, fight for freedom, justice and equality. Politicians are liars and thieves. We must stop following them. We must stop listening to them.
To health matters, a cholera outbreak is spreading across northern Cameroon, with more than 1,000 cases and 28 deaths reported since July. Health workers are racing to contain the disease, with treatment centers set up to isolate suspected and confirmed cases. In Mora, medical staff say they're receiving 1 to 2 new patients every day. Doctors are supporting the response across several affected districts, while community workers are going door to door to promote hygiene and sanitation. Authorities say limited access to clean water and poor sanitation are fueling the outbreak, with concerns growing as the rainy season intensifies. Meanwhile, the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has now become the deadliest in the country's history, with over 2,300 people reportedly killed. Health authorities say more than 4,900 confirmed cases have been recorded, with the virus spreading across 6 provinces. The World Health Organization describes the pace of transmission as exceptional, with the outbreak reportedly killing 1 person every 30 minutes. The current outbreak is caused by the rare Bundibugyo strain, for which there is no approved vaccine yet. Several vaccines are in development, while clinical trials are also underway. Years of conflict, population movement, and difficult access to healthcare are complicating efforts to contain the deadly virus. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Ebola-affected areas of eastern DRC, warning the outbreak is outpacing efforts to contain it. He was speaking at the SADC summit in Durban, where he said nearly 5,000 cases and more than 2,300 deaths have been recorded. President Ramaphosa warns the virus could spread across the region, urging SADC countries to strengthen surveillance, laboratory capacity, and emergency preparedness. He's opposed to blanket travel bans, saying they could hurt economies and push people towards unmonitored border crossings.
On behalf of our government and the people of Southern Africa, we express our deepest condolences to the government and to the people of the Democratic Republic of the Congo as they go through this devastating pandemic. We commend the courage of Congolese health workers. We appreciate the leadership of the government of the DRC, the Africa SADC, especially Dr. Kaseya, who is here, who is the Director General of this Africa SADC and the World Health Organization, working with regional and international partners to coordinate the response. But the outbreak continues to outpace our efforts. We must do much more, and we commend the government of the DRC of doing what they are doing, monitoring the development of this virus. We must act with urgency, all of us, and we call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the affected conflict areas in the eastern DRC, and for the safe and secure humanitarian access so that health workers can reach every affected community. And we call on all parties to respect health facilities, health workers, and humanitarian operations. And we call on governments to avoid indiscriminate restrictions on travel and trade against affected countries. This generalized ban on travel from countries that are affected by pandemic is clearly unfair. Such restrictions are not supported by public health evidence. They damage economies, they disrupt livelihoods, and may drive movement through unmonitored border crossings, thereby making containment much more difficult.
Staying with the South African president, Ramaphosa called on SADC countries to accelerate industrialization and turn the region's mineral and agricultural wealth into manufacturing, investment, and jobs. He says regional integration must deliver tangible benefits for ordinary people, especially young people. President Ramaphosa also warns that peace and development must go hand in hand across Southern Africa.
Must therefore accelerate through the decisions that we will take. The implementation of the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan of 2020 to 2030. First, we must deepen industrialization and build regional value chains. The minerals and agricultural commodities of our region must become the foundation of Southern African manufacturing. We must process more of what we mine and add value to more of what we grow and manufacture more of what we consume. Secondly, we must invest boldly in regional infrastructure. We do need the roads that should link our countries. We need the efficient railways that should carry the minerals and manufactured goods, and modern ports that should connect Southern Africa to continental and global markets.
We'll have more from the SADC summit in Durban, South Africa. Plus, well, Cameroonians ecstatic as their women lift their first ever Women's Africa Cup of Nations trophy after commanding 3-0 victory over Malawi. Back to Network Africa, back to the SADC summit in Durban. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has called on southern African countries to reduce their reliance on external funding and build stronger regional financial and industrial capacity. He warns that heavy dependence on foreign funding could compromise national sovereignty and priorities. President Mnangagwa also urges countries to stop exporting raw materials and instead process them locally to create jobs, drive innovation, and keep more value within the region.
This timeless truth entails that nations, cities, and regions are built by their own people. This is, by and large, our rallying call for self-determination. By placing our people at the core of our development agenda, we ensure that the wealth of our region benefits our citizens and improve their quality of life. While we value our international partnerships, experience and hindsight on external funding, which has the risk to compromise our sovereignty and national priorities. We must therefore build and enhance our own financial and industrial capabilities. The operationalization of the SADC Regional Development Fund is timely and remains a cornerstone for our developmental agenda and strategy. I commend the progress realized to date and appeal to those member states who are yet to sign or ratify this critical protocol to do so. Our people are an important resource to build our region. We must empower them through education and skills development.
Here in Lagos, Nigeria, a free ballet academy is helping children from low-income families turn dance into opportunity and a potential career. At the Leap of Dance Academy, young dancers train in classical ballet, with some going on to represent Nigeria on international stages. Founder Ajala Daniel Owushini says the school was created to make dance education accessible to children who might otherwise never have the chance. The Academy is also developing Afro ballet, blending classical techniques with African music and stories. Founded in 2017, the Academy gained global attention after a video of student Anthony Madu dancing bare feet in the rain went viral. His journey later inspired the Disney documentary, Madu.
The Leap of Dance Academy was founded because we wanted to create an opportunity for children from, of course, low-income families to have dance education, not just as a recreational activity, but a career path for them. We've been able to see the transformational power of dance in our children here, seeing how they cannot do one thing and being able to do more things. Dance is universal. And then there is something you can do about dance. People might not understand different languages, but they can understand the language of dance. And then we use dance to portray or to carry our stories. So I don't believe that dance and ballet is very Western. I believe that it is what you can own it to be. And that's why we have what we call the Afro ballet, using African-inspired music to do the classical ballet, thereby retaining the originality of the ballet, but with an African flair. We're not training our students to become just professional dancers. We're also training them to become the audience of tomorrow's theater. They might not become professional dancers tomorrow, but they might be supporters of the ballet club. They can be the supporters of the ballet or the arts in general, because it's not just about dancing. The discipline, it keeps them focused, it keeps them engaged.
When I started out earlier, I was very timid and I didn't want to associate with anyone, but through dance, I've been able to express myself and be who I am through ballet. And ballet is a different style of dance. It's not something everyone does around my area, and it's something you would not expect. Like, who does ballet here? No one.
I chose dance because I was inspired by Ebube, which is my brother. So whenever he comes back home, we'll be stretching, we'll be dancing, splitting. So I said, can you show me the place to dance? Then he brought me here, and then I chose to dance ballet dance because it was interesting to dance.
And these ones are certainly dancing for joy in Yaoundé, Cameroon, where they were celebrating all night on Sunday as the Domitable Lionesses made history winning their first ever Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. The victory ended Cameroon's long wait for the trophy after 3 previous runner-up finishes. Goalkeeper Michele Bihina calls it a special moment, saying the team had received a second chance after initially failing to qualify and made the most of it. For Malawi, it was a historic first WAFCON campaign, capped by a place in the 2027 Women's World Cup. Well, they may not have won the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, but fans still celebrated Malawi's loss, I would say, to Cameroon. Well, they had gone this far, haven't they, at the Women's African Cup of Nations. They lost 3-0 to Cameroon in the final in Rabat, Morocco. Cameroon's Marie Nga scored twice, with Naomi Njoa Eto also finding the net before half-time, but Malawi's run to the final had already made history, ranked 153rd in the world. They are or were the lowest ranked team at the tournament. Their reward, however, is a first ever Women's World Cup berth in 2027, secured after their quarter-final victory over Ghana. For Malawian fans, it may have ended in defeat, but the Scorchers have left Morocco as national heroes.
Malawi went into this tournament as underdogs. Today proved to be a step too far. A very bad day at the office, very disappointing. Although overall, many Malawians will be proud at how the team has performed at this competition. No one gave Malawi a chance. Malawi went into the tournament as the lowest ranked team of all the 16 teams that were at this tournament.
Not happy. We are disappointed somehow, but we're still proud of the team. The team has made us very proud. It has brought us this far. We did not expect it to come to the finals, but here we are.
I think the losing out of the 2 of our players, the one that got the red card last game, contributed to this. However, each and every member of the team was at their best.
A huge congratulations to both teams. They did really well at the WAFCON. And before we bring the program to a close, here's our fun fact for today. We're starting off with a really strong note here on a Monday. Did you know Tunisia is home to underground homes that are being carved directly into the earth? Surprising. In the town of Matmata, people have traditionally lived in houses built around deep underground courtyards. These homes help protect residents from the region's extreme desert heat and cold. The usual architecture became so famous that Matmata was used as a filming location for stars standing in for fictional planets of Tatooine. In Tunisia, you can actually step onto a real underground home that became part of movie history. really iconic places in Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.